Hey you guys, welcome to Good Friday edition of the Creative Season. This is Melissa. So glad you're here today with me. Normally for Good Friday, I wouldn't necessarily do art. I would most likely be at a prayer experiences like many of you, just considering this holy day, considering the life of Jesus and all that he did for us. Someone told me a long time ago, you can't get to Resurrection Sunday, we can't get to the celebrating without going through Good Friday, without going through the pain and suffering. And it is so important to reflect on that for even a short period of time. And I appreciate that we celebrate Good Friday or commemorate it really. And so we're going to do a very small sketch. I'm going to show you too how I'm going to personalize this in a little bit. A lot of times I'll use some of these kind of sketches for my own personal work, for journaling. And again, I normally would be going through a prayer experience at church. I want to show you too as I talk a little bit. We're going to do a very simple sketch. I've already started it. What I was really thinking of this year as I thought about Good Friday, as I thought about the sadness and the grief that must have settled on everyone and everything when Jesus died and the sun went down. And so this is a sunset picture. The sun is it is going down. The city is far away. Golgotha was, I believe it was on a hill, so people have had to walk to get there. And what a sad journey to walk back, thinking they had lost the one they had loved so very, very much, and how silent it must have been. At least I imagine the silence of the evening. So if you want to pull out a sketch pencil, we're just going to sketch very quickly. I've got a hill here. I have another couple hills. And what I did is I just did a city in the background, just symbolizing Jerusalem. You can see it in the distance, just a couple of, I've got 5 different shaped squares. And I have done just a little bit of orange right along the skyline. I'm sorry, around the hills. And then my orange in my, the city representing the lights. So of all the people who've gone back now to sit and probably imagine to talk, to cry, to grieve, of course many people just went on their business, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to move into the sky. And so the sky, if you have, I usually mix a blue and a Paynes gray, and that creates a very nice midnight sky. Whatever blue you use, whether it's a cerulean blue, an ultramarine, if you have a brighter blue that you're mixing, that it doesn't matter. They're all going to create different variations of a very nice sky. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm using a size 12 brush, so it's pretty big. And I'm going to do a nice light wash over the whole thing. And this is a round brush. It might be a little bit easier with a flat brush, but whatever you have, I'm going to go gently around the crosses. I realized it was going to be a little bit challenging to put Jesus's body on the cross and the 2 men. I know that gets harder to do. So what I did, if you can see, is I very outlined as if his legs were looking. So I put the nails where the nails would have gone through, and then just an outline of his legs here. And then I'll put a nail mark here. So a little bit more symbolic than we're trying to do a realistic outline. Again, and we might put a little bit of a flesh color there to show that. So leave some space there. If you don't want to, that is just fine. But again, we're thinking about Good Friday, thinking about Jesus' death on the cross, dying for our sins, just reflecting on even my own sins, we are so prone to wander. So prone to give in to fear and discouragement, to jealousy, to pettiness. I know I had to confess several things this week. Honestly, that was just my ego, instead of walking with Jesus and having just giving all things to him that I was bothered about. I was stewing about them, and I was angry and frustrated, and went to bed angry, and all those things that, were just not the way we're supposed to live, and really that Jesus came to give us freedom from. Okay, so I'm going to outline right in here, and I don't usually talk about faith on my art videos, but it is Good Friday, and I know for many of us this is a big part of our lives. I'm going to just dip in here to where that orange is coming in, and then what I'm going to do too, outline this. We'll go back in here. I'm not getting too close to the crosses because I don't want the brown to bleed in, but there's always a way to fix that if that happens. I'm going to come back with my orange and yellow, and I'm going to let it just a little, again, I just want the hint of the sun just setting. Just. So if that black or navy blue really bleeds in a little bit, that's fine, because I really want the sense of, you know, it's finished, it's over, the sun has set now. Do an outline over there. And a little bit, I'll take a little bit more of the black and let it really bleed in. We're really going for just a hint of that orange down there. If you find that your paint is kind of grouping up, you can either add a little bit more color, or you just can kind of push the excess paint over to the side and just push it off onto the masking tape. Okay, so we've got our outline. I don't want to do the crosses yet because I'm concerned that we will that will bleed. So I'm going to do the green. I'm actually going to mix Paynes gray, and this is my messy palette. I need to wash it probably, but right now it's working. So I've got my Paynes gray here, and I'm just going to mix it in with my green here. So I'm going to get a pretty dark green, because at nighttime everything's going to be really dark. Really dark. Maybe the moon is up, but I even was thinking, did the stars even come out that night, or were they seen? Was it just so sad? Again, leave a little bit of white there. Leave some white around, so we're giving the hints, letting that paint gather in some areas. That's going to create the sense of movement, as well as your painting won't feel flat if we let the water, the paint colors kind of move around a little bit. And then in the back, right over here against the town, I'm going to go right up to the back of my town. If you find that your paints are bleeding a little bit, that's okay. We'll end up fixing that, and I'll show you how I did that in the other painting. So I've got this here now. Okay, all right. So now I'm going to go back, and normally when I was working on this last night, it was after a Bible study, and I started while I was listening to a Bible study about resurrection peace that we're doing through church, and just thinking and praying. There's of course a lot of needs right now, right? All sorts of needs that we're always all going through anyways, and then on top of it with COVID-19 and the fallout from that. Okay, so with the cross, I'm doing some outlining here. I decided I just wanted to keep it simple. I wasn't going to try to do anything as far as angles or perspectives. I have this one at a little bit of an angle, and we'll put a little bit of perspective in that one, some shadowing. I'm going to take my orange too, put a little bit of brown with the orange, and just send it down. Again, we're just pulling around colors around the palette. And wood often is multicolored, different colors, right? I was wondering as I last night, did the wood, had it been sanded down? Were there, pieces sticking out that would have gotten into the skin, and splinters? How painful that would have been. How painful all of it would have been, the whole agonizing process. It's just beyond my imagination. But once again, reflecting on Good Friday, the pain of Good Friday, the pain that Jesus went to in order that we might have life in Him. He became the perfect Lamb that none of us could be. No matter how hard we try, we can never do enough to be perfect. So just praising God for that grace, thanking Jesus for the pain that He went through because of His incredible love for us. Okay, I'm going to get a shade darker brown now. Now you can of course take that Paynes gray, or if you're using a Mars black, that works too. Any black, mix it with some brown so you get a darker brown. That keeps our palette nice and clean too. Okay, and I'm going to, over here at an angle, I'm going to darken up just over here on the sides, right over here on the side here, and I might over on this Jesus put that a little bit dark. You notice the blue merged into this, but that's okay. I'm not bothered by that. I'm going to go back in with my green, and I'm going to get some green that doesn't have so much black in, and just go and just highlight a little bit. And I had some bleeding over here, and I'm gonna go through here and mix it with some of the Paynes gray. Okay, so really that needs to dry, because otherwise it will just become a runny mess all over the place. But this is our essence, and you know what? You could even leave it like this. And sometimes I think when we're going through raw moments, we're commemorating something like Good Friday, it doesn't need to be all pretty. We can just leave things raw. You know, and that there's some, I don't know, there's some realness to that. I'm gonna outline a couple of these buildings. You don't have to. Maybe the moonlight was shining on them. Just gonna, you can use the midnight blue to outline if you'd like. Add a little bit of water to your brush, and that will give a light. And you could even just do a light wash over all of them too. So if that, you could even do this, it will come back in. And so that really is the basic of the Good Friday painting. And I'm gonna show you the other one now. So I've got this one. And so you can see what I did with it. I decided I was really gonna leave the town fuzzy. I didn't do a lot of detail work on the town. I did come back. I put some lines in the sky and then darkened up parts of the sky as if there's a storm coming in, and just thinking about the storm that must have felt in so many different people's hearts. I outlined a little bit of the crosses just to delineate them a little bit, the legs of Jesus. One of the things I thought about doing too was I was going to take a pen and write just a letter to Jesus, telling him what I'm thankful for his sacrifice. I'm worshiping him on the back of this card. The other thing too is what I've often done, like with my thankful home videos, I'll write what I'm thankful for, but on the cross, you know, those sins that were nailed up to the cross that, you know, I think sometimes we feel like we have to bear the weight of our sins, but trusting in Jesus for his forgiveness means that I let them go. I let go of those sins. And so you can do this just with your privacy, but, you know, writing on here that you know, the sins that I need to nail up on the cross, that I have nailed up on the cross, and that Jesus has forgiven me. And just remembering, Lord, you have forgiven me for those things. You have forgiven me for the selfishness. And he knows exactly what, you know, the acts that I'm talking about, or the unkind words that I spoke, the greediness of my heart, and writing those things up on the cross. And then on the back of this, again, thanking him for the gift of salvation, for his gift of death on the cross, of taking away my sins. So I hope that wherever you are, that you commemoration of Good Friday is a holy time for you, that you feel the presence of Jesus and of his deep love for you. And I will see you in another video. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.